So for the next 45 minutes, we'll introduce who TGO is and eOne Solutions, review the differences between SmartList and SmartView, then jump on to the demo, and then if we have any questions at the end, we'll be sure to answer them. Nicole, can you just go to the next slide, please? Okay, so for those of you who don't know TGO, we've been implementing financial systems for the past 27 years, specializing in ERP, business intelligence, business process management, and corporate performance management. In the ERP space, we've actually been a GP partner since 1994. And what sets us apart from other consulting companies is that we guarantee the success of our projects and at a fixed fee. We're always looking for ways to help our clients enhance their systems and improve their bottom line with solutions like eOne. So without further ado, I'd like to hand it over to Nicole.
Okay, thank you. And so my name is Nicole Albertson, like she said, and I am with eOne, and eOne is a company. What we specialize in here is a lot of different, don't want to call them customization tools, but tools to make your life easier, such as a SmartList Builder tool where we can build new SmartLists. We have a SmartView to enhance SmartList. We have things like Extender where we can build some new windows in GP and store that data for you. And we also have SmartConnect, which is an integration product. So a lot of different areas to help you really utilize GP to its fullest. But what we want to do today is kind of SmartList Builder, SmartView, and show you how we can enhance SmartList for you. So you've all been using SmartList, you know how that works. How do we make it do more and give you more of what you need in the tools? So first I want to talk about what is the difference between all these. I've said SmartList, SmartView, SmartList Builder. That's a lot of smart names, but how do I keep track of the different ones? So SmartList is what you get with GP. When you buy it, it comes right out of the box, has a bunch of different reporting or lists built into it where you can query the data that you have in GP. Now it has some limitations, so we've come out with a SmartView product, which is our replacement to SmartList. Things like enhancing performance, giving you some grouping, totaling, that type of thing. And Alicia will show you a little bit of that later on. But just so you can understand, our SmartView is a replacement for SmartList. Then to enhance either of those, we've come out with SmartList Builder because they both come with the same custom or set of defined lists. Well, what happens if those defined lists don't have the data you need in them, or you need a couple more fields, or maybe you have a third-party module that doesn't have any lists available? SmartList Builder allows you to create custom smart lists so that we can build whatever we need out with the data you truly need in those lists. So just to kind of cover a few of the differences between SmartList and SmartView, just to kind of give that, you know SmartList, it comes with some basic reports. It's a little bit slower if you're trying to capture a lot of data. One of the limitations is that it has only 4 filters. So you go to the search button, you can only do 4 different search criteria there. And then the data is limited based on the predefined list they've already built for you. With SmartView, which replaces SmartList for you, we make it a little bit easier to work with those lists because we do things like unlimited filters. We give you totaling at the bottom of your records so that you can tell, you know, your credits equal this, your debits equal that type of totaling. We allow you to group up. So if you want to group by account, we can do that, and you see the transactions per account, for example. The export to Excel is a lot faster. And then SmartView has an external version so that you can run it without using a GP user license. So if you have users that just have a GP login so that they can use SmartList, SmartView gives you an option to not have to have a login for them. So that's the difference between SmartList and SmartView. And of course, we'll show you SmartView again. But then we have SmartList Builder. Now, another smart product that I haven't mentioned yet is SmartList Designer. That's another one that Microsoft released. It comes with SmartList and allows you to do some basic lists. Has a modify option to modify some basic things in the list they provide and then build new ones out. But you can see in this list here all the extra things SmartList Builder from eOne can do for you on top of what Designer already does. It basically replaces designer. I'm hearing the volume is a little bit off. Can anybody hear me?
Hi, Nicole. I think you're sort of fading in and out, and I'm getting some messages that people can't hear.
Okay, let me just move the microphone closer and we'll see if that helps. So let me know if it doesn't help, or Alicia's kind of watching it, so just let me know. But SmartList Builder adds on things like being able to pull in external data. So if you're using an application like CRM, we can pull in that type of data. Or if you have some third-party tables, some custom tables you've created for storing some different things, we can pull all of that in, as well as we have options to make multi-company reporting. So if you have 3, 4, or 5 different companies and you want to pull all that data into one smart list, we can do that with SmartList Builder. Things like modifying the default lists. SmartList Builder allows you to do that. Renaming columns, doing more restrictions within the builder so that you aren't taking those 4 search criteria that SmartList gives you. A lot of different things you can see in this list, and I'm going to show you SmartList Builder to show you some of these features. Just before we go into that though, what comes with the builders? When you buy SmartList Builder, what comes with it? It actually has 4 different modules in there. The first one being SmartList Builder, which allows us to create new smart lists. So we can create brand new ones, we can modify the default ones, and do whatever we need to get the data we want in SmartList or SmartView. There's also Excel Report Builder. So if you're using the Excel reports that Microsoft has shipped with starting in 10 or 2010, it's been a few versions, those basically mimic the default smart lists, and if you need additional data to those, we can use Excel Report Builder to create new Excel reports, so you have those refreshable reports there as well. Navigation List Builder allows us to create new navigation lists. So for those of you who are using a navigation list, those of you who are going, what is a navigation list? Those lists that are on the left side of GP when you go to like financial and choose account transactions, something like that, those are navigation lists. And so if you're using those and you need additional data, we can use Navigation List Builder to build out the list you need. And then the last one is Drill Down Builder. It isn't a way to report data to you like the other 3 are, but it's a way for us to create drill downs from our Excel report or another application back to GP. So if you're familiar with the go-tos in SmartList where you double-click on a record, it opens a GP window. Drill Down Builder allows us to do that same type of thing just from an Excel report. So we can come from that Excel report back to a GP window or a GP SmartList and query into that data a little bit more and get the data we need. Okay, and so when we get into these builder tools, what type of data can we pull in? I said we could pull in CRM data or different things like that. We can pull in any GP table, so any table for any data that you capture from within the GP system. We can pull in all of those tables, whether it be core to GP, an add-on from the GP installation, or a third party. They all will be captured there. We can do SmartLists, which has an asterisk by it because it's new to 2013. So GP 2013 and 2015, that's a feature there where we can take the default smart list and either create a new one based on that same data and add what we need, or modify the existing ones. SQL Server tables allows us to go to SQL and get any SQL table or view that we want to and pull in the data from that. So if you have custom tables, custom views, some other application, we can pull in all of those using a SQL Server table option. SQL script allows us to write select statements basically within the builders, and then we can query the data that your select statement would bring back and have that available to us in our setup. And the thing about that is I can write it against GP tables, but maybe there's a way that I can pull the data in a select statement that I couldn't pull by just linking tables together, or I want to do some extra grouping or calculations or something like that, I can do that in that SQL script. Or if you're just somebody who likes SQL scripting better than knowing the front end, you can do it with that as well. And that has an asterisk as well because it's available starting in 2013 for SmartList Builder and Navigation List Builder, and 2015 for Excel Report Builder. Data connections is our next option, and that's really designed to use for Excel Report Builder. And basically it pulls in the default Excel reports setup that Microsoft ships. We pull in the data connection that those use right into the builders so that you can use that same setup. And then of course extender resources. If you're using the eOne extender product where you've created some new windows or forms and are capturing data into those, we want you to be able to report on that data as well. So we have that built into the builders. Okay, so some of you I know are using SmartList Builder already, so you kind of know what I've already talked about. I just wanted to quickly go through the new features and kind of highlight a couple here. So in 2013, we added the ability to modify your existing smart lists. Another big one there is that you can create new ones from the default smart list. So you can either modify the default or create a new one based on the default. We added built-in go-tos, which takes all of the go-tos that are on the current default smart list and has built them into SmartList Builder so you can pick any of those and use and don't have to build your own. We talked about the SQL scripting as a table type that was added in 2013. Another big one there is Table Finder. So one of the biggest problems with building out a report almost in any tool, and of course that comes with the builders as well, is that you don't know where the data is. You know where you enter it in GP, you don't know what tables that's coming from to go get it for your report. So we added Table Finder, which gives you the option to pick the window, pick the fields on the window that you want, and then it will show you, here's the table or two that this window is using to get that data. So you can quickly find, narrow it down from the 2,000 tables GP might have to one or two that your data is going to be in using that Table Finder. And we actually, these new features came in 2013. We put the Table Finder back in 2010 as well. So if you're on 2010, get our latest version and you would have that Table Finder there. 2015, we added some more features. I mentioned the SQL scripting going into Excel Report Builder. We've taken a lot of time to build out a new template library so that there's a bunch of predefined lists already out there for you. Some of them mimic the default ones. Other ones are brand new that I've built. So you can check those out and you can actually import them right into the product in 2015. Previous to 2015, you'll have to download them and then import them manually. We added the ability to create new database roles in SQL. So if you're using the Excel Report Builder, you can create your own roles instead of using the default ones Microsoft ships with. And we've added an option to do table level security. So we had a lot of feedback that people could add a payroll table to SmartList Builder or any of the builders. Well, I want to restrict them from being able to do that. So we added table level security where I can create a role that only has access to certain tables and then another role that has access to all the tables, so you can limit what tables some of the users can see. And we added an option to use linked forms, so if you have a GP form, we can open another GP form right from there using our linked forms in Drill Down Builder. So it's just a way to kind of navigate through GP the way you need to versus the way they've written GP to do that. So that is some of the new features. Let's actually take a look at the builders. Let's get out of there and switch over to GP here. And so what we're going to do is first look at SmartList Builder, and then Alicia will do SmartView here. So I'm going to open SmartList and just show you, sorry about that, I guess I had one created in there. Show you one that I've built. So if I go to Financial and go to Budget versus Actual, you're going to see a report here that looks just like a regular SmartList. I can go to Search and I can do the search criteria, all of that. But this is a SmartList Builder list. So an end user can't do that. but if you're familiar with the list that's there under financial by default, that one isn't there and this is new. So I can click modify here and show you the setup of that in SmartList Builder. And here you can see we've used some GP tables, pulling in like the budget summary master. But just to show you, I've also added a SQL script where I could put my calculation in there. I have it subtracting out the debit and the credit to get an actual amount and that type of thing. So I can mix and match different table types as well in there. And then I can create calculated fields. So GP doesn't have a variance field stored in its table structure. I can create a calculated field, set it up how I want to do that calculation for me. Other things we can do, we talked about being able to do go-tos. We talked about the built-in ones as a new feature. So I can open a lot of different things. I can open GP forms, I can open a smart list, I can have it go to a website. Common one there is if you tracking numbers for like UPS or something like that, I can have it open the UPS site, populate the tracking number for me, and show me that information. So we can kind of do the work for you so that you don't have to be entering data multiple places. Okay, so let's build one out on our own to see how easy this is. So we're just going to create a new one, and we'll just create a GL batch list just to get something that everybody might understand. So I'm going to start here, and then I go to financials where I think I'll put it since it's GL, and I go to add a table now, but you know, batches are probably a GP table, so I'll pick that. And I look in this list and go, what table might my batches be in? You know, just the financial series has a couple hundred tables here. So trying to decipher that is really hard if you aren't familiar with the GP table structure. So let's cancel this. And as an end user, I know that if I go to transactions, financial, batches, this is the data I want. If I pull up a batch here, this is the kind of information I want to know. How many transactions are in there? What's the comment on it? So I know this is the data. So we can use that table finder that we have with SmartList Builder and open that. And now it says, okay, that batch entry window uses this combination of 12 or whatever tables are there. But I can take that a step farther and say, I want this comment. So I pick the batch comment field. It says that's in this table. So I've narrowed it down from that whole list of financial tables to this one table. Now let's see if the number of journal entries is in that same table. So number of transactions, same table. So that's probably the table I want for all of this. And if we look, it's giving me the information. That's this table in SQL. And this is actually in the company series. I wouldn't even have found it in the financial series where I would have thought of. So I'd have been totally wrong looking for the right table. And it actually shows you here's the columns in there so you can kind of tell is this the right table or not. We're just going to click Create Smart List from here. And let me go, we already typed that in, so let me clear that. Oh, maybe it's not going to let me clear it, but it'll create this here. And that's what I thought. Let's try that one more time. I didn't want to have that typed in there. Okay, it was the posting definitions master, so we'll click Create again. Okay, we'll just create a new name. I think I cleared it instead of deleting it, so that's fine. So now it has created a new SmartList Builder setup for me and added that table in. So I can start going, okay, what fields do I want in this? And let's do the batch number. We'll do the comment. I'm going to actually order these by the display name instead of by the field position. That is the first option, so that I can see alphabetically what they are. We'll just grab some of the ones that we might need. Batch total. Oops, number of transactions. And am I missing any? Let's change it to default status, and I got the 6 I need. So I've marked now the 6 columns that are going to be default to my smart list. The rest of these are still going to be available to me if I go to the columns button, but I wanted which ones are going to be on my report by default. I'm going to change this to the financial series and save this and show you what kind of report we have so far. Now we have SmartList open already, so it refreshes right there, and this is the report we've built. Now as you look at this, you see stuff that's not general ledger batches. We have invoicing and payables and all of that in here, so this table actually holds more than just GL batches, so we're going to need to do a restriction. And you know what? I don't like how some of these are named. You know, I don't like that origin shows me a 1, 2, 3 versus a, general entry, clearing entry, that type of thing. So let's go do some modifications. So we're going to come back here. We'll call this batch ID instead of batch number. And then number of transactions, the window calls it journal entries, so I'm going to change that to be journal entries because that's what my end users will recognize. We talked about the origin showing a 1, 2, 3. We can actually define what 1, 2, 3 means. And in a lot of cases, that is defined for you by GP. This one they didn't, but all you have to do is search of the web and it will tell you what these mean. So now I've defined, if it's a 3, it's going to display budget transactions. So I've defined that list of what it's going to display for me instead of that. Now we said it had more than just the financial or budget batches in there, so let's go add a restriction. And the nice thing about restrictions in SmartList Builder is that they're going to be restrictions that the end user can't get around. So this is a GL batch list. The end user would never see anything outside of whatever I put in this restriction. So we're going to do it for this series is equal to financial. Now the end user will never be able to see the payables batches, the payroll batches, anything like that because I've put this in here. And if you want to, you can actually apply these restrictions to individual users so that if you have something like a sales report, you could apply a restriction on each salesperson to the appropriate person, and then they see their customers, whereas another one logs in and would see a different list of customers. Or same theory as managers if you're doing a payroll report. So let's see what we have so far. We'll save this again. Much shorter list, looks like just financial batches, and our column headers have been renamed. And our origin is returning the names we typed in. Now a couple other things I want to do. I'd like to know the status of these batches. You know, are they marked to post? Are they in the posting process? Do they have errors in them? What is that status? And I don't like the order of my columns. So let's go back and change a couple other things here. We're going to do a calculated field to get that status. Now the status I want has marked to post, has errors in the transaction, or just the statuses. So there's a couple different fields that I want to pull together so that you don't have to watch me type this. I've actually pasted it into Notepad here. And you can see I'm going to do a case statement, which is an if-then. So if the mark to post is equal to 1, which means it's marked, then I want to display marked. If that's not true, then check is the batch status equal to 3? If it is, then it's receiving. If it's a 1, then it's posting. Now I know some of these don't apply to general ledger batches. I actually have this calculation created so that I can use it for all the different types of batches in the system. So that's why you see a couple that don't apply to general ledger. If none of those statuses meet, then it says, is the journal entries equal to 0? If it is, then tell me there's no transactions. So kind of going through what do I want to see. So I'm just going to copy this, paste it in here. We're going to call this status, and it's just going to be a string field. That's how I want it displayed. So we'll validate that. Says it's valid. It means I didn't spell anything wrong. And now I have a calculated field I can turn on as well. Now let's check the order of those columns. I want batch ID up at the top. Let's put the comment up there. Maybe we move the origin. So I can rename or reorder these however I'd like. If I save this now, we have a new list of our batches with our status. So you can see there's an error in this batch. It's telling me that it needs some editing. So I can go on like that. Now, we talked about Excel Report Builder, Navigation List Builder as well. I won't go through those too much today, but I could duplicate this report to an Excel report, and then I would have this available in Excel reports where I can refresh it right from within Excel, or I can put it as a navigation list and I would see it on the navigation list in GP. So we can get the same type of reporting where you need to see it, or if it's all three of them, we have it in all three locations. So that is a little bit of SmartList Builder, and I'm going to turn it over to Alicia to do some SmartView for you.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yep, we can hear you, Alicia.
Wonderful, sounds good. Well, I get left with the easy tool to demo. This is great. So I used to be an accountant here, and this is my absolute favorite reporting tool, and I honestly do not use SmartList at all. So it's a really easy tool, especially from somebody not on the technical side too. So this is good for those people that want to be able to essentially group or subgroup how they want it, either from a CAN list or one that you've built with SmartList Builder. So it's just right within GP. Like Nicole had mentioned, we also have that external version that comes obviously, so you don't have to have that GP user license, and it's just right on top of your desktop. And that essentially has the same features and functionality minus go-tos to be able to drill down. So great tool. So let's just quickly jump in. I'm just going to pick a random list here. Let's pick sales transactions. Nope. Looks like I have a server error. All right. So you can see it looks a lot like SmartLists. You have your CAN list on the left-hand side here, as well as anything that was built with SmartList Builder would also show up on this list over here. On the right-hand side, you have a list of all your columns or fields that you can choose from. I'm going to just drag your attention down to the very bottom left here. You can see that we pulled back 636 transactions in less than a half of a second. So this is going to be extremely fast compared to SmartList as well. Let's just go ahead and add a few columns on the right-hand side. Let's pick salesperson ID, and this is just going to be a drag and drop. And I'm just going to pick sales territory. That'd be good. Let us stop number 2 just for fun. And let's say we wanted to reorder these columns. So actually, I want to see salesperson ID at the beginning of my list, and I want it closer to the sales territory. We can reorder the columns in any way that you want. If we wanted to group and subgroup, I can go ahead and pull the salesperson ID up here. And actually, I'm going to do that the opposite way. Let's group by sales territory and then subgroup by salesperson ID. So now you can see we're grouping and subgrouping. If I wanted to collapse these all, I could go ahead and do that and then just expand a certain territory. If I wanted to see, let's see how much Nancy sold in territory 3, we could do that. We also have the function in the internal version to have that go to, so it will drill down into an invoice, essentially, in this particular instance. So you're able to use, obviously a print function, etc., from that field. Okay, so I am going to actually pop up in the top here. If I go into options, something else I'm just going to quickly mention is this modify button here. This will let you go into that SmartList via SmartList Builder. So if you have SmartList Builder and you have SmartView, you're able to go in and then modify that existing list there that you have clicked on. So that's kind of a fun function. We also have other finding options or filtering options. You can do a find panel. Let's say if you wanted to search everything with a $9.37 value, we could do that to pop it up. Or if you want to filter in a specific column, you could do that as well. So just see if I can spell right. Saw one there. Oh, we don't have anything underneath that one. Let's get rid of that filter. I can't spell right. All right. Let's just do quotes. So to pull everything over in a quote that you see there. And I'm actually going to draw your attention back down the bottom right again. And we have this filter ribbon here. And this is where you can add more than those 4 filters. So you have unlimited filters here. And you can also filter, you can do and statements, or, not and, not or. You can add a group, you can add a condition, etc. For this instance, I'm just going to clear those all. And I'm actually going to pop back into our home page here. And I'm going to actually export this. Actually, I'm going to show you one more thing. The columns or the summing to right to screen. So you don't have to actually export this to Excel. So this will save you a ton of time. You can obviously see we have those sums, those totals to screen there without having to export to Excel. However, if you did want to export to Excel, we could do that. And this is going to keep the grouping and the subgrouping, as you can tell, that we had initially had in place. The other thing that you can do is if you wanted to, let's say, have somebody else in your department check on a certain invoice, all you'd have to do is copy this, and you could paste it into an Excel. You could paste it in an email. I get a lot of those in the day saying, hey, can you check on this invoice? The thing with this is that when you copy it, it keeps that header for you too. And then if you wanted to do an individual cell value, you could absolutely do that as well, where you would just right-click and say copy field value. So if you just wanted to copy that specific invoice number, you could do that as well. So the last thing is if you wanted to add this as a favorite, all you would have to do is go on here and add the favorite. You can also assign this to all users or certain roles if you wanted to. You also have the ability to assign it to different companies or all companies. So I'm just going to do all for both. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. And you can see a list here on the left-hand side was a favorite was created for TGO that every time when you click on it now, it'll have those groupings and those subgroupings saved underneath that favorite. And the last thing I was going to show you is this maximum records button. If you wanted to, let's say, pull back 10,000 records, you could do that. Or if you wanted to show all records, you could absolutely do that as well. And we've also added an age trial balance favorite. So this is obviously another one that a lot of people like to see. So if you wanted to just pull in a few, like 31 to 60 days past due or 91 to 20, you have your age trial balance available there. So that's SmartView and SmartList Builder in a nutshell, essentially. I'm just going to pull up our slides again. So right now, we do have some really, really good promotions going on. And I would actually have you contact Kathleen at TGO to get more details on that. Lots of money to be saved there, either if you own SmartList Builder, or if you don't own SmartList Builder, or if you need both of those tools. We have promotions around all three ways of doing that. So if you have any questions, TGO is a wonderful, wonderful resource. They know a lot about both of these tools. So just go ahead and contact TGO. That info@tgo.ca. And I think that's about all that Nicole and I had today.
Thank you, Alicia. Thank you,
Excellent.
Nicole.
We'll open the floor to questions if people have it.
Yeah, we'll be here for a little bit. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them into the GoToWebinar interface, and then we can answer them.
And it looks like there might be some in there.
So I do have a question here. I don't know, Alicia or maybe Nicole, either of you can answer. Are there any performance impacts between creating a SQL view versus running the script in SmartList Builder?
Sure. So the question is, if you use the SQL view or SQL tables option versus using the SQL script option that's new to SmartList Builder, is there a difference in performance? Why would you use one or the other? You know, to an average user, the performance difference is so small that you won't notice it. In doing some internal performance processing, we did find that the SQL script is a little bit faster, but again, not enough on most scripts that you would ever notice it as an end user, down to the portions of a second kind of faster. Some scenarios it was a little bit faster, or maybe a second or two, but most of the time they're very comparable. The nice thing about the SQL script, though, is you don't have to manage permissions and all of that around a SQL view. And what I put in there, as long as I don't hard code it to a specific company, no matter what company I'm in, I don't have to worry about that view being created in every company or whatever, because that select statement is going to run. Now, if it's something you're going to use that select statement in 5 different reports for, a view would be a better option, because then you don't have to, if you need to make a change on that script, you don't have to do it in 5 reports. You do it once to the view and it's done. So kind of weigh which one's going to work better for the scenario you have. But yes, there is a little bit, if you want to call that a performance gain in the SQL scripting.
I hope that answers your question. I have another question here asking, can we have the presentation? Yes, you can. I am recording this webinar. So if you just wanted to send me a quick email and I can send it out to you. So those are all the questions I have right now. We'll probably stay on for a few minutes longer. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask, or if you come up with any questions later on, you can always email us or contact your account executive. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and close off the webinar. I just want to thank everybody for coming out this afternoon, and thank you to eOne, Alicia, and Nicole for presenting. And any other questions that you may have, we can take them offline. But in the meantime, thank you everybody for attending today, and have a great day.